Hi, my name's Ian and I want to welcome you to another 5-minute family devotion here at Engadine and Heathcote Anglican Church. At 5-minute family devotions, we're going through God's big story and we're looking at the story of the Bible and how God is working on each and every page to bring us into a relationship with Him once more. Just a quick shout out to start with to Tom and to Alex. Now, Tom and Alex have been watching in each and every day and they've been learning heaps. You guys are a massive encouragement. Keep reading, keep learning about Jesus. Way to go, guys. Why don't you send a photo through and I'll give you a shout out in the next couple of days to show us that you're watching along at home. Well, we're halfway through the Bible and it looks as though God's promises are all completed. David's son Solomon was now king and God's people were a big nation. They were in the land. Solomon had built the temple and they were at peace and they were blessed. Everything was good. Well, why are we only halfway through the Bible then, though? There's more to the story about Solomon, and unfortunately, it's not good. We're going to find out a little bit more about what happened next, and it's from 1 Kings, chapters 10 and 11. Have your mum and dad's phones out today because we're going to be using some emojis to be able to tell the story today. Make sure your thumbs are quick, and at the end, why don't you send a text to somebody about what you've learned? Now, Solomon was king over Israel and he was wise. He was also very, very rich. He wrote lots of proverbs and his wisdom was famous. We learnt in the last couple of days that he built an amazing temple for God and it was truly an amazing building. All the other nations were beginning to see how amazing God's people were and therefore how amazing God was. This one time, the Queen of Sheba came. She'd heard for herself about Solomon and had to see for herself what kind of king he was like. She came to Jerusalem with camels, with gold and with precious stones, and she wanted advice from Solomon. After she came, she went away giving Solomon gifts and also saying, "Praise God for all that he has done for you." His love for his people certainly must be amazing. Solomon was a spectacular king. He received gold from everywhere. He made a great throne for himself. His palace was huge, even bigger than the temple. That wasn't good. He brought gifts from brought gifts from everywhere, like spices and horses and weapons. But even though Solomon was really, really wise, he made a huge mistake. He made some very foolish and not wise decisions. You see, God had told his people that they mustn't marry people from different nations because the people from different nations followed different gods. But Solomon didn't listen. He thought he knew what was best. Not only did Solomon not listen to God, not only did he marry one person from another nation, but he married 1,000 women. What a silly thing to do. And as Solomon got older, his wives turned his heart away from God and towards their silly pretend statue gods. God became angry with Solomon because he didn't love God with all his heart. And because Solomon didn't love God, all his people followed him away from God. And so one day, God said to Solomon, "Because you haven't kept my covenant, I will tear your kingdom away from you and I will give it to someone else. I won't do it to you, but I will do it to your son." From then on, there was no longer peace, but fighting, because God's people forgot about God, and it all started from Solomon forgetting about God. Well, boys and girls, things weren't good, and Solomon was unwise in ignoring God. Solomon became a fool and forgot about God and didn't obey him. And sadly, because of that, all of God's people forgot about God and didn't obey him. God's people need a real king. A king who would teach people to love God. A king who would obey God. You see, Jesus was that king. He always loved God and he always obeyed him. He didn't have a big palace or a fancy crown, but he came to serve us by dying for us and rising again. Jesus is God's amazing King, God's amazing forever King, and it's awesome to follow him. Well, in a couple of seconds, a couple of questions are going to come up on the board, and as a family, I want to invite you to read, to think, and to pray. And pause the video as you do each one together as a family. Remember, keep on sending your photos in, and we'll say g'day to you.